8:24 on this Wednesday morning. One of the biggest recurring problems within the Texas criminal justice system and really prison systems across the country is the issue of recidivism. That's when prisoners have served their time, they're released, and then they reoffend and they go back to prison. David Cook is a man who is trying to do something about that, using his experiences to try to help others. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And when I say you're trying to use your experiences, 30 years ago, you too were a prisoner. You committed some white-collar crime.
Both federal and state time.
And you came out of the prison system, federal and state prison, and you thought what?
Well, I definitely knew I wanted a different path, and I knew where the path I was on had led, and I took a different path. I went to school, studied aviation, got all of my pilot certificates and ratings all the way up through my instructor certificate and airline transport pilot certificate, and had a great career in aviation, and then started a business in '95. Called Fiber Network Solutions, which hit the Inc. 500 list twice, and Entrepreneur of the Year, Best in Business. So, you know, my message to people in prison is that if you want to get out and stay out, there really are no barriers to having a fulfilling life.
Your story is so atypical from the typical prisoner who comes out of prison serving whatever time they've served. You have made something of yourself, and it's got to be more than just believing yourself, doesn't it?
Well, I think you have to have some motivation. You have to have, you have to have the drive. You have to have the attitude of no matter what challenge is in front of you, you just don't quit. You continue to move forward. And I'm not sure that I would draw that much of a distinction between somebody coming out of prison or somebody graduating from college. They both have a mountain in front of them, and it's a choice as to whether or not they want to climb that mountain or do nothing with their life.
You do a couple of things besides your normal business. You travel the country and you come here to Texas to talk to people, both people who incarcerate and people who are incarcerated.
Yes.
And your message to them, and I understand the Texas Department of Criminal Justice has been a little persnickety with your paperwork, so you're not going to get into prisons.
Right.
But you're talking to radio to prisoners and their families. And do you get a receptive ear when you talk to these people?
You know, tremendously, because I think a lot of people in prison don't know or don't believe that you can have a normal life with a felony conviction. And my biggest message is, yes, you can, and I'm the evidence that you can. I still have, I've never had an expungement or presidential pardon. The convictions are still on my record. And granted, there are certain occupations that you cannot go into, but I don't look at those. I look at what can I do. And I've managed to achieve everything I wanted in my life and have really felt no limitations whatsoever because of the convictions. So that's the biggest message.
And part of your message also includes giving inmates and ex-cons the tools necessary. So what can a state do? What can a government do, a people do to help this population?
Well, clearly literacy. You know, and most states are providing education, at least through the GED or high school diploma. Without a high school diploma today, I don't know what you can possibly do in a very competitive world economy that we're in. And college courses, of course, help even that much more. But you know, one of the really core problems that we have in our country, which is why we have 2.3 million people in prison and jails, is literacy. We allow kids to drop out of school. And I would love to see legislation that you cannot drop out of school. I don't care if it takes you till you're 40 to finish. You must finish high school because it's like jumping off a cliff. And at 16 years old, which is the age that most states allow kids to drop out of school, you don't have the wherewithal to make a decision that can really have just catastrophic impact on your life. And not only does that hurt the individual, it hurts you and me, who are the taxpayers, that will eventually have to pay for their subsistence or will be victims of the crime because they don't have the tools. The tools are education.
It is the beginning of a conversation that needs to take place, and David Cook is one man who is trying to start that conversation. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Do appreciate it. Safe travels to you.
Thank you very much.
Jose and Sabila.
All right, thanks a lot. 8:29.